Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling podcast here on YouTube. We are looking to go into other areas as well. I'm kind of looking into things like that, but this episode is going to focus on WWE NXT on May 17th, 2017. They started off the show, but basically the opposite of most WWE programming. They started off with a match. It was Drew McIntyre going up against Shawn Lola. This was a decent match. You had some decent back and forth and everything between the two of them. But I like how, for a good portion of it, Shawn Lola was trying to do strikes and everything to Drew McIntyre. He was just having none of it, and it does. But eventually, Shawn Lola does do something, get some damage in there. There's some decent back and forth in this match. But McIntyre eventually does go over. He gets interviewed after the match, talking about, and the interviewer was basically talking about, what did you think of Wesley Blake, gaining Wesley Blake's attention and everything from the week before, and he challenging him and everything. Is I like Drew McIntyre's response is I'm kind of glad I have his attention, though because I want everyone's attention inside of NXT. So he eventually challenges them to a match for the next week. And it was a pretty good segment in the end. I did actually rather enjoy NXT this week, though most of this week was again focusing on video packages going into the NXT Takeover show. Matter of fact, right after this, you do get a good chunk of video packages throughout the rest of the show. You do get a couple other matches in there, and what I also thought was a rather good final match as well. But up next, you had a video package, or not really a video package, but them showing what happened last week from after the match with Roderick Strong and Hideo Itami, which was Sanity coming out and attacking Roderick Strong and basically taking him out after the match. This wasn't shown on the actual episode itself. It was just a thing I guess they did on YouTube afterwards. And then they go backstage with William Regal and Roderick Strong saying he wants Sanity, he wants a match with them and everything in that sense. So basically challenges them to a match. This is followed up immediately by a promo from Eric Young in that dark, dingy setting outside in I guess it's on Full Sail University that they cut those promos in, but it's in front of a lake and everything to go along with it. He essentially accepts the challenge, but I like the promo he cuts. Is it's you're a fiance and you have a child, yet you want to fight us type feel. He does end up accepting the match, and it ends up going to be them having a match at the TakeOver Chicago show to go along with it. So that is going to be our fifth match for that particular show. Up next, they did this throughout the night. They showed a bunch of video packages on Hideo Itami. They're really building up Hideo Itami on this one, going into his match with Bobby Roode. They showed his entrance to NXT. They showed him hitting the GTS for the first time. This is literally stuff they had not shown on WWE in any way. Was that San Jose right before WrestleMania 31, where that San Jose show, which was before takeovers and them doing stuff on WrestleMania weekend, where he hit the GTS on Tyler Breeze in that particular match, which was essentially a house show match and everything, but they showed something a little bit special there. And then, of course, him coming out and challenging Bobby Roode after he had gotten done with Shinsuke Nakamura. So you saw those video packages throughout the night. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because we do get something with Bobby Roode and Hideo Itami at the end of the show. But also, like I said, there was a lot of different video packages and interviews and everything in this sense going into TakeOver. Up next, you had a really good video package, brand new one that they had for Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. They basically showing off their video for the build up going into the NXT Takeover show. Pete Dunne talking about how he's going to crush Tyler Bate's dreams. You have Tyler Bate kind of talking about what he's done since winning the United Kingdom Championship as well, and just a really good put together video package from both sides to kind of build up their match a little bit more, since we haven't seen too much of the United Kingdom stuff going into the NXT Takeover. Obviously, we've seen the matches, and they do have the United Kingdom special coming up, I believe, tomorrow on the network as well. So you have something else to really grasp into, potentially going into that NXT Takeover match between the two of them. And again, the interviews and video stuff continues on. You have a what is supposed to be an interview with Asuka about her match at Takeover, and she's having none of it. Like, basically, like, you see the complete changes in demeanor from Asuka. Like, when this is kind of how they played it off. She has, like, different changes in demeanor. When she's in the interview, it's like, next question. Is this over with yet? Type thing. And it's like, the interviewer's like, yeah, we're done and everything in that sense. She gets out of the car, and you had the fans getting ready to go into the show, and she's like taking selfies with them and being all happy and everything in that sense. And as soon as she gets away from them, you just see that demeanor, like either a focused or a concerned demeanor right afterwards. And so it's kind of like playing off as like she either is really, really focused or really concerned going into her triple threat match with Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross for NXT TakeOver, and it just plays it off as like, oh, she's just playing like the way that she is in front of the fans, and she's completely different everywhere else in that sense. And I actually kind of liked it. It was an interesting way of going, a different way of going with the Asuka character, in every way, shape, or form, or at least like from what we have seen. Typically, you had seen a very overconfident Asuka who like talks and everything in that sense, but in this case, like, she's not really willing to talk with anyone about anything, but she will still keep up her area with the fans and everything in that sense, being like looking overly confident, taking pictures, everything in that sense to go along with it. It was pretty interesting stuff that they decided to go with here. But now we have a couple matches that actually happened on the show. We had Lacey Evans going up against Sonya Deville. I think, yeah, Deville is what they call her now. She used to be Daria Baronato. They didn't change the gimmick, they just changed the name. This match was an okay match. It wasn't anything special. Both of these two really haven't done too much yet, so you don't really know what to really get behind between both sides. I think they're going to be doing something with Sonya Deville here in the near future, but at least that's how it makes it come with her winning the match and everything in that sense. That's kind of what you would assume, but really nothing much to this match. So this brings us to at least the last match of the night. It wasn't the main event match, but not the main event segment. You had Cassius Ohno going up against Andrade Cien Almas. This is a good match. It was just a very hard-hitting style match, with both sides getting in really good offense and everything. And in that sense, of course, the announcers also playing up that like how much is Andrade Cien Almas really into this match because of like how he had been coming off as of late. But both guys look really good in here. They're both getting really good strikes in there. Cassius Ohno showing off his athleticism that you wouldn't really expect from a guy that size. The fact that he pulls off a moonsault, he does like bits of foot diving over the rope but landing on his feet and everything in that sense. But also just the strikes that they had from both sides. Like Andrade Cien Almas did his cartwheel like double kick. It looks really good in a match. And of course, the strikes that you had with Cassius Ohno as well. Like, both sides looked like they were just really laying into it. It looked like a really hard-hitting match, and it came off really good with Cassius Ohno going over in the end as well. So again, Cassius Ohno goes over in this match, and yeah, just really good match. Rather enjoyable match. So this brings us to the last segment of the night, which was Bobby Roode coming out and basically cutting the final promo on his match with Hideo Itami, saying, selling the final aspects of a match going into a bigger show. So, cutting a promo saying he's going to win, what he's going to do to Itami at TakeOver, saying, I won't be in a $5,000 suit this time. I'm going to be in my wrestling boots. I'm going to be in my gear, and I'm going to be ready to go. This doesn't, and he runs down Itami a little bit, which does bring Hideo Itami to come out. And eventually, like, as he's going down the ramp, you have both William Regal and security trying to get in between them. Eventually, Itami finds like that one little gaping hole that he was looking for. Like, they weren't fully paying attention, and he found a way through and goes after Bobby Roode. He starts going after them. Security gets in the ring to pull them apart. He starts taking out the security. He hits a couple GTSs on the security guys. Bobby Roode hits him from behind, but Itami eventually goes over again and gets hit with the GTS to end the show. So again, Itami stands strong here, which you hadn't really seen Bobby Roode going over strong in any way, shape, or form. So it makes me lead to believe that they're probably going to put Bobby Roode over in this match at TakeOver, though that's kind of typical conventional thinking of what they usually do. I mean, you could honestly, NXT doesn't necessarily do that all the time. It's like, oh, it looks like this guy's going to go over at the pay-per-view, and then because of the way they've been booking it, and then they have the other person go over. So we'll see where they go with everything on that one. But overall, rather enjoyable NXT this week, at least in my mind it was. A good setup going into the NXT TakeOver show for Saturday. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle. I hope you enjoy, and have a great rest of your day.